Good evening. I would like to call to order the Community Redevelopment Agency special meeting is Tuesday, September 26th at 6 o'clock. Call the roll, please.
Chairman James.
Here.
Vice Chairman Harris.
Here.
Board Member Brandemar. Here. Board Member Grace.
Here.
Board Member Salvino.
Here.
Executive Director Weeks. I still had Kathleen.
Here.
City Attorney Ansbro.
Here.
Thank you.
Citizens' comments? I don't think we have any. Do we have any?
Chair James.
Okay, well, let me put my little lights on.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to talk to my board members for a second.
Okay.
At the last meeting that we had concerning the CRA director, I thought that this commission asked me to do something that I thought was honorable. I also believe that we do, as a board, have the resources and the mindset to add different people to the list, but I thought that it should have come before this board before we actually did that. So I am very disappointed where I go out of town and I come back and call on Monday and find out that another person has been added to this list, which was not originally put on this. And I just want to know how many board members actually suggested or approved the additional person on this list, starting with you, Chairperson.
Well, to my knowledge, no one was added, but it was going to be a suggestion that we were supposed to speak about that I knew nothing of. So to answer your question, no one.
Vice Chair, board member.
Bobby, who's the new one?
Oh, well, you know who that's
The new
we
person
talking
is
about?
Maxwell. Okay. Did you, I'm just asking, did anybody ask you?
I asked if he was on the list, that's all.
Okay.
They said no.
Okay, so,
If I could,
wait, but let me
course.
finish, because I'm a little irate right now and perturbed, and I don't know whether I really want to sit up here with people that are not team players.
I
Because
understand.
we do something here, we do it collectively, or we do it not at all. We don't do it because you see fit to put somebody else on this list that you think should have been on here. The time to have said that would have been the time that we voted on the 4 people. I would have had no problem with that. Nobody else on this board would have had a problem with it. I don't like the way it was done. You wait until I go out of town and I come back, and then I hear that you've done something like this. I don't like us trying to stack the decks of putting somebody on this board that was not originally, because this person, you want a quality person on this board. You need a director that's going to be able to lead, not us lead that director, whether it's he or she. So I have to get this out of my system because I don't like it. I want to be honest with you. I'm not a person that talks behind anybody back. I'm a very transparent person. I tell it like it is, and if you don't like it, you know, that's your problem. But this is the way I see it. Anybody that should have called me should have been the acting chair, should have been Kathleen. I did not receive a call from her. I got lots of calls from the city manager. Got lots of texts from the city manager, but I got nothing from Kathleen. And when I came back here on Monday, on my voicemail, there was a message from the attorney telling me that another name had been added. Now, this to me is definitely unacceptable. If you don't want me to be on the CRA board, tell me now, and I get up and walk out.
if I could, Ms. Grace, because I think it was miscommunicated, which does happen. I got a request from a board member to...
Well, who was it?
Hold on.
It was me.
Mr. Salvino.
I'll explain it myself.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
everybody's going to
Oh,
get out of
thank
hand.
God. For a minute, I was going to...
I'm not out of hand. I'm just
No,
letting you know how I
I'm
feel.
sorry.
I don't like it.
Okay, well, if you...
And I certainly don't.
Would you
And
like
and
me to
Marco,
explain
you
myself?
know me.
I know that.
Yes, I tell you what I think.
May I explain
Go
myself?
ahead.
Okay. Either I'm in a misunderstanding situation. I did not want to do anything entirely behind anybody's back. When I did this, I brought it up to the city attorney to ask him the legal aspects of it, because I said, am I allowed to ask one of the board members to put them back, ask somebody to add it back on there? And I was advised I would be best off not speaking to the board members because it may be in a violation. So
Right.
I said to at that point, I said, well, then can you please submit a name? I read the book over on my own time, and I saw that a couple of people I thought were going to be reviewed. I still felt that you were the last person that was going to be doing the reviewing and bring them up there. I had no choice of me putting them up there, but I did it. I asked the attorney the right way, or I would have gone to you directly, but I felt there was a violation. I'm not trying to hide anything. I'm not trying to bring it up. I thought I did it in the proper form. That's all. I did not try to hide anything or be disrespectful to you or do anything behind your back. I was very vocal about it. I came up and tried to do it in a procedural manner through the city attorney.
That is true. He called me, he asked, and he knew that under the Sunshine Law, he should not be contacting you. So what was to be done was the name would be submitted for you and the board to say whether or not you wanted to even do it. If there's not 3 votes to do it, it doesn't happen, and that's clear. But I think that Kathleen, in trying to help, put it on there as an interview person. The person hasn't even been selected for interview unless 3 of you wish to do that with your recommendation, because you were delegated to handle this, Ms. Grace. So it was never an intent to do anything other than his request. If there was another person he felt might be worthy to be on there, subject to the board's approval. That's really what it was.
Especially after you were...
Board Member Grace?
CRA Board, the correct way to have done this would have been to bring it back to the CRA Board for us to sit down and discuss it collectively. And no matter what the outcome was, whether it was nay or yay, then that would have been the proper way to do it. That is my interpretation of the way that it should have been done.
So do it now.
And I agree with you, and I think that's what his intention was, to bring it to the board. If the board, as a board, wants to add another name, they would do that. If they don't, they won't. Okay? Everybody understands that.
I'm going to ask, and I know this probably is not protocol, but I'm going to ask that Maxwell name be deleted. That will be my motion.
Why, though?
Because he was not one of the original 4
Can
that
I
we
speak
voted
on it really fast? 'Cause I don't know, really don't know what's going on either. We're probably all just hearing this for the first time. I know I've received a phone call maybe a day or 2 ago, I don't remember verbatim, saying that a board member wanted to add someone to the list. From my recollection, I didn't know who the board member was. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't ask any questions on who it was. What my conversation to the city manager was, it does not matter who's asking to add anyone to the list. When we voted to delegate Board Member Grace to pick her 4, no one had any other suggestions or this person or that person or whatever. No one said anything at that time. So I said leave it as is. That's what I told city manager, and I said I don't care who it is. I wouldn't care if you were in charge of picking the 4 and someone I'm very close to, like Chair Member Grace, wanted to add one. I would have still said no, because that's not what it was. That's what was made. The decision that was made and voted unanimously up here was that she would pick 4, and then we will all collectively interview. Now, I just don't want to open a Pandora's box and you add one person. I said, well, I wanted to add somebody. Well, let me look back through the list. Let me add somebody. I mean, at this point, I know we have commissioner comments, board member comments. We have a lot of stuff that we need to go over.
I just want to make one other point before we...
No, that's fine. I'm just saying, I know we have a lot of things we need to go over. I mean, that's my point of view. We can all say our point of view and then vote on it and then, continue on.
I did not do this on my own. I sat in with the acting director, Dan Murphy, the young lady from Human Resources, and I believe there was one other person in the room. And I accepted all of the input that they discussed. And I said it at that meeting, I was surprised to know that we all came up with the same people. That's on the record if you play the tape back. And, some things are just not right. Some people just want to do what they want to do. But whatever you guys decide, I'm going to tell you this right now. Watch it. Okay.
Board Member Savino?
Well, I apologize. I did not realize that I was doing anything incorrectly or around anything. I was just looking over the list, and I thought I'd make a suggestion for the betterment of the city. I did not mean to create a problem or go behind anybody's back. I did call the city attorney and the city manager to ask them the proper way to do it. I did not realize that it was going to upset somebody. I mean, I'm just here to make a suggestion and saw a name that I thought might be interesting to the board. If I broke the protocol, then I would be the first person to retract the name that I submitted. I'm not here to create a problem or try to do something behind someone's back, and I apologize if that's what you think what I'm doing. I was very upfront with the city attorney to make sure I wasn't violating any city codes. So, I mean, I'm not here to try to stick somebody in there or anything like that. I mean, I thought that once it got up there, I thought when we had voted Board Member Grace to review those, I didn't know that it mattered whether or not there was another name added or not. But if it's going to create a problem, I'll withdraw the name. I don't have an issue with that. I was just looking over people that I thought might be good for the job, but I don't want to create an issue over this. Whatever the board decides, I'm okay with. I mean, it was just a thought of someone that I thought might be a good applicant. But if I've taken the wrong direction, I apologize. That's all I can tell you. I mean, I don't know how else to do it. I don't want to upset anybody over trying to have a selection of a CRA board executive director.
Board Member Brandamati?
Can I make a motion that we go with the original list?
The motion was already made.
Or second? Thank you. I didn't even hear that.
Call the roll, please. Wait, repeat
Okay.
the motion.
The motion was that Mr. Maxwell be removed from the list.
Yeah, only because we never discussed it, that's all, after we got our original list.
And you second that motion?
I did.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Board Member Brandemart?
Yes.
Board Member Grace?
Yes.
Board Member Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
We're going to skip right to, go ahead, Kathleen.
Yeah, we're going to do administrative updates, and it relates to the hiring of the executive director. The CRA board, the CRA department and the Human Resources Department had interviews this morning with the selected candidates, and we have scheduled appointments for them with the CRA board on Tuesday, October 3rd, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. here in the Commission Chamber. The CRA and Human Resources are developing scripted questions. So we are asking the CRA board that the scripted questions are used for each candidate to ensure equitable treatment. So we would like to use the scripted questions, and some of the scripted questions relate to the CRA and CRA policy and procedures. The board can ask follow-up questions to those scripted questions. We ask that each board member should take turns asking questions so that you get a sense from the candidates of their responding to different personalities, different people on the dais. We thought that we would suggest to you tonight a ranking system. We have two options. One option is a ranking system, which would be that you will wait until the end of all the interviews and rank the candidates from first to fifth. From first to fourth, sorry, because of, first to fourth. The other option is to evaluate each candidate on a numerical scale according to their education experience, other areas of their abilities and experience, and compile scores at the end. So that one would involve a numerical scale evaluation as opposed to the ranking, which would be first to fifth. And we need to know which option you prefer so that we could prepare the evaluation sheets to match that. So when we'll give you your questions and we will give you your evaluation sheets, so you'll be able to match.
Board Member Grace?
Yes, Kathleen, in the past when we've had to do that, even for the commission, we did the ranking on the scale of, 1 through 5 or whatever. So I think that would probably be the best way to go. The other thing is that even though you're going to do scripted questions,
Yes.
I certainly would like for this board to ask those questions that will be very pertinent to how the new director will be able to move this city forward with all the projects that we have and some future projects that we're looking for. And then the other thing is to make sure that, I know that this is a toughie because we've been doing this with everybody that came into the city of Dania Beach. Ask them whether or not they would like to or would live in Dania Beach. You know, I know that probably some are going to say no, but this is just a throw-out question, maybe not.
As far as the scale, I think I'm a little confused because if I have 4 people, if I'm going to do the first one and rank them on a scale of 1 to 5, I don't really know the rest of the field and what and how to judge them off of. So because you could say a team is really, really good, but you don't know the competition of everyone else. So I can give this person a 5, but then the next person was better than them. So what am I going to give them?
So Human Resources recommended that you wait until the end of all the interviews.
Okay.
And
that's
then
fine.
you can evaluate in your assessment
Gotcha.
who would be first and who would be fifth.
Okay.
Right.
Or fourth, sorry.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay, so you want me to go back to presentations? Okay. Presentations, the Dania Beach Streetscape Conceptual Design for Northwest 1st Street and Northwest 1st Avenue, presented by the EDSA. Good evening. Good, how are you? Yes.
Okay. Say good evening to you again.
Good evening.
Good evening.
To you all. Thank you so much for allowing me time on your schedule. For the record, my name is Kona Gray. I'm a principal with EDSA Incorporated with land planners and landscape architects based in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You need the address?
No.
No.
Need the address?
1512 East Broward Boulevard in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Thank you.
So some time ago in the summer, City of Dania Beach engaged us to look at some very important street corridors. I'm going to spend about 10 minutes because I really want to allow you time to ask questions. Also, a little preface, there was a lot of work that was already completed by the CRA in terms of studying what these streets should look like. So we were really asked to come in and really take it to the next level. Also, we have not met with the public yet, so there is still time for that to occur, and we encourage that because that's the way we do it. Okay? So just to give you an idea of the study area, we're looking at First Avenue as well as First Street, City of Dania Beach. And we've organized this in zones. So you can see along First Street, which the connection is going to take us over to Dania Point. We've allowed us to understand what happens in more of the residential area, and then also what happens in more of the business areas. So Zone A is residential, Zone B is the business area closer to US 1. Also along First Avenue, we're looking at creating an updated, improved, enhanced streetscape in that area as well. Zone C being where a lot of the new hotels have been built, and Zone D being very close to where we are right now, around the city center. We should all have copies of this as well, so you can study in depth and ask me questions. We were able to meet with the city CRA director, Rachel, at that time, and talk about some options in terms of the first pass. We did a 50% submission. In the submission, we actually provided 2 options per each zone. In the first zone, Zone A, the first option was preferred, and that was due because we're adding more canopy trees there in that area. In Zone B, we looked at the preferred option also as option 1, which added more parking spaces. Going down to Northwest First Avenue, you can see that the preferred option on the north portion of it in Zone C was also to add more additional parking to assist with the hotels and the activity happening there. And then further down on Zone D, in this more festival area, which we're really hoping will be a very exciting pedestrian street for events, we went with less parking to allow for more activities to happen. The way this works is I'm going to show you some images of what it is today, and then I'm going to show you the concept. And from that concept, we'll show you some supporting documents that illustrate how it all works. So this is the First Street, Northwest First Street, Zone A at the top and Zone B at the bottom. And you can see today, as it is, it's there. It could be a lot better, and I think that's one of the reasons why we're here. We do note that there's a tremendous opportunity to create a complete street here. These streets have not been improved in some time, so there are some utility opportunities as well as we go through it. The other thing you're going to notice is that at First Street and the railroad tracks, there's no sidewalk, there's no cross. It's a very dangerous situation. And there's a few images that illustrate. So here we are in Zone A of First Street, and you're seeing the residential portion that is basically to the west of the railroad tracks. In this area, we've added improved sidewalks. We've included a bike lane along the streets so that you have a more safe opportunity for people to utilize their bikes in the neighborhood. We've added a very robust system of trees that we think is very important to add more shade so it's comfortable to walk there. So in the plan view, you can kind of see how it lays out. There's a little section at the top, Section A, seeing that magenta color, that shows you how we've cut a cross-section to look at how it looks visually from the side. Also, you can see here that we've added a wider sidewalk in the section, a wider area for trees, a 4-foot bike lane, which is standard DOT, and we've actually gone on a road diet. We provided a 10-foot lane instead of 11, 12-foot, to make that a little bit slower in travel. It's a 50-foot right-of-way, so there's really not a lot of room to work with, but we think it can be extremely successful. Going a little bit further east, this is at the intersection of US 1 and First Street. This is runway 75, the corner, to give you some bearing. We've added more on-street parking in this area, as you can see. And also you can see that we've added that crossing here. I think it's very important. Those are the main highlights. In this area, again, you can see we've actually kept the lanes a little bit wider so we can have a shared bike and vehicle roadway. And we also have the on-street parking that's working within these bulb outs. So they are happening on the street, but there are trees separating the parking.
I have a question. Why are the lanes wider there with the shared bike lane and not wider at the other space?
The other area has a dedicated bike lane, so you have a 4-foot bike lane that's dedicated, and then the lanes for the travel actually went to 10-foot instead of 11, and that is standard by DOT.
Okay, and this one, you're going to use it for bike and car?
That is correct.
Gotcha.
This is that view. If you recall from the plan from the previous sheet, this view image is right here looking towards the west, and that is runway 75 on the corner. And so that's the flavor we're looking for. We're looking for adding a more improved environment in terms of the walkability. It's wider, it will be safer, we have places to park, and this is where a lot of the commercial activity is happening, so we think it's more important to add that emphasis in this space. So that is Northwest First Street. Now we're going to go to First Ave. Now, we must say, as planners and landscape architects, we've been watching the development cycles in this city. Dania Beach has missed several of those cycles, but now you're seeing it come to fruition. There's a lot of great hotels being built. We think there's a lot of opportunity that is really being brought to bear here, which we think is very important for the city. So again, as it is on First Avenue today, you can see the existing conditions. There's so much room for improvement here, and that's why we are here. This is on the north side. Basically, that's 2nd Street. First Street is a little bit down here to the south. We've added a lot more parking in this area, organized on-street parking. This is a 40-foot right-of-way in this space here. So from the section, you can see that we've provided a wider sidewalk. These are 2 10-foot shared lanes, and we have intentionally put the on-street parking on the east side, closer to all the businesses, all of the hotels that are here. Okay? So that is the plan view. Again, there's another plan view going to the south. This is our Festival Street, and that runs between Southwest First Street and Northwest First Street. And we see this as being a very vibrant, active environment. Here we are at the library, just to give you your bearings. This is Dania Beach Boulevard right here, and this is the entrance into City Hall. The Hotel Morrison that's going up, all of this space here, we are envisioning that it's paved with brick. It's very inviting. We think there'd be a wonderful opportunity for events, street fairs, things of that nature to really showcase what is happening in the city of Dania. In the section, you can see that we've added gateways. There are 2 gateways on the north and south of Dania Beach Boulevard. They really announce this festival street. And in this section, you can also see that there's a wider sidewalk, there is on-street parking, and there are the 2 10-foot lanes that'll help slow down the traffic, as well as another wider sidewalk on the south side. Next, I'm going to show you the view, which is taken right here at the Morrison Hotel towards the library. And this is what we're envisioning. We're envisioning a really vibrant environment. This day could be a day that there is an art fair happening. Tents and all these things would be programmed so that people can really spend time in the city and really enjoy what is happening here. So that's kind of the flavor we're thinking that would be really excellent here, and it would be a draw for your residents and for visitors that would want to come to Dania. We also looked at elements of the plan, so materials, finishes, trees, site furniture. So this is just an idea of what they could be. And as I said earlier, this is a concept. This is the beginning. We want to get a good understanding of the flavor you would like to see. We'd also like to spend some time with the residents to understand what they would like to see as well, and then finally bring that all to bear towards a construction project. That's it.
Board Member Grace?
Tony, I'm very impressed. I was impressed when we did the bus tour a couple of years back, when we actually had an opportunity to look at what they did in Hollywood before and after, and also in Deerfield.
Oh, yeah.
And this puts it right in perspective of what we want for Dania Beach. And I know that it's very doable, and I think that we can add a lot more atmosphere for people really stopping in Dania Beach and going to our restaurant and doing the walking and just enjoying what we have to offer. What I'm really impressed about is how we can utilize the space that we have out here at City Hall across the street from Morrison's, because not only can we do artwork there, we can do some concerts, we can do a lot of stuff to bring people together, like we do for the Christmas lighting and so forth. So I appreciate the presentation. It was awesome.
Thank you.
Board Member Salvino?
I just want to echo first. It looks nice. You did a really nice job. I got a couple of questions, I guess, about. I don't think it could have done any better, really. I think it really sets our downtown in a great atmosphere. The question is, how long is it going to take us to get there, and how much money is it going to cost us? Because this is a great presentation, but if it sits for 3 or 4 years, it's going to break our hearts. I don't know. I just hope that we hang on to this concept and we can move forward with the funds somewhere. Anybody got any idea how long it would take, Mark, or anybody?
Yeah. Good question. After that.
Chairman, Vice Chair, Mark LaFerrier, board members, we had an opportunity to go over this plan with Kona and the CRA staff on a couple of occasions, and we've also met with the MPO board, and one time the Vice Chair was there. These 2 streets are really good candidates for an MPO roadway improvement program called Complete Streets. What they do is they earmark a certain amount of funds that they receive from the federal and state government for roadway reconstruction to build urban streets. And these 2 streets are really good candidates, and we're encouraged by the MPO to make application for that construction through those funds. I think they're going to be really good candidates. I've looked at the criteria. We'll be submitting those applications to the MPO. We'll be bringing to the Commission at their next meeting in October a TIP that includes a resolution that would identify these 2 streets for the Complete Streets program. The Complete Streets program, the funding is about $1 million to $2 million for each street. And what we would see with this project is we'd see a pretty significant reconstruction of those roadways, because when you drive the roadway, you'll notice that the infrastructure is old. The pavement's gone over and over again, so there's not even much curb showing anymore. Much of the water and sewer utility and drainage needs to be replaced too. So there's going to, I know we'd like to hurry up and do it, but we want to do it the right way, and we want to make sure that we do it with other people's money too. And so we're excited about it. We think this is very doable, but we think it's going to be best to submit for the MPO application and see how they can help us
That's about a
fund
4
the
or 5
projects.
year
You got about probably $3 to $4 million worth of roadway construction here. And Conan did mention a couple of things that's important, is that those railway crossings for pedestrians and for the cars, so it's done so that it's really a friendly and safe atmosphere to get people back and forth on the streets, and so we have more pedestrians.
Is there any way the MPO would be able to push it fast? Because I know that's about a 3 to 4 year process, right?
It is, yeah. Well, this is the fastest that we're going to be able to push
Did they
it.
pay back if we had the money?
You know what, I'll check into that. That's a good question. I mean, I'll check into that.
Board Member Briggs?
That was going to be a question I was going to ask. Can we earmark any of the OASIS monies that we have, or maybe one of the projects that we're going to have in the next couple of years? Can we earmark any of that money for this project? Or?
Sure. I mean, every year, the commission and the CRA board approves a budget, and that's something, if you wanted to make a motion on it, I'm sure that Nikki and Bob would help you find a way of doing that. I mean, one of the other ways you can expedite this too, obviously, is by moving forward with some of the soft cost design work first. Then you're shovel ready, and all the agencies like those projects, because those agencies want to see their money put to good use quickly and show results. They want to put that sign up that says it was funded through the MPO and there's work being done. So that might be another way you might want to consider to get the soft costs done, the engineering costs done and things like that.
Okay, good.
Maybe embark upon that in the upcoming year. So that's pretty exciting stuff.
Board Member Brandon Marty?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want to see us rush and spend money that we don't have. I mean, we know the point is there, we know the money's going to be coming in, but it isn't coming in this year or next year, so I wouldn't want to go out on a limb and try to borrow money and say, oh gee, but we're going to get it back again. That's like putting the cart before the horse. And Conan, I have to ask you something. A while back, they were talking about, they wanted to do something on Dania Beach Boulevard, and I went absolutely berserk. And that was, they wanted to, by 7-Eleven to US 1, take a lane out. And not only that, but just before the bridge on Dania Beach Boulevard, they wanted to narrow it and have the bike lane merge. I have never, and I would never be for the merging of a bicycle into a car lane. I don't trust it. I never did. I see too many accidents happen because the child that's riding on that bike lane, all of a sudden he thinks he's still got the right of way to merge in with the car. And I don't have that much faith in our drivers, really. We're in a senior community, and I get worried. But I don't really like merging lanes. So I think we'd have a little argument up here on that.
No, that's something we can revisit.
Boy, that would be wonderful,
That's not
because the
a problem
rest
at
of it I love, absolutely love, especially by
Runway.
the runways, restaurant, the way that it would look there.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No problem.
Just a caution, we still have one more thing to do before the other meeting. So Vice Chair?
The part of the MPO, the Complete Streets program from, or Mark maybe, from Gulfstream Road to the beach,
Well,
with
that-
the median
actually,
and the bike lanes?
Yeah,
and,
that's a project that's, the DOT has already funded. They're
Right.
under design now. That's on Dania Beach Boulevard. Remember where the DOT wanted to reduce it down to 4 lanes, we're at 6, and they said, we'll just do east of Gulf Street to the beach.
Right.
So that project is under design now. What that'll be is a new roadway with new drainage and sidewalks and bike lanes. And the bike
Right.
lanes won't be a shower lane, except for when it goes over the bridge, because the bicycle has no other way to get over the bridge.
Yeah, so it's still going to be merged, going over the bridge.
And that's their design standard.
Can't they do like bike safety programs and all that to try to educate the public
Yeah.
and, just,
And drivers. Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
I think I talked to Ricardo at the MPO about that,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think that's a go. But as far as, this is a beautiful plan, so it reminds me of several other cities around the country that I visited, so well done.
Okay.
Show me the money.
Well, thank you. Anything else we have for him before we move on? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
You're
your time.
The next is the DBCRA marketing plan presented by RMA.
The Chair and members of the board, I'd like to ask Chris Brown of RMA to come up and just say a few words about the P3 RFQ project that just was completed on September 22nd.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Madam Chairman, board members. My name is Chris Brown. I'm with RMA. Our address is 2304 East Atlantic Boulevard in Pompano Beach. Well, I'm sorry we didn't get any responses on last Friday. I don't know whether the hurricane had something to do with that, but I thought maybe I would just talk a little bit about, there's a bit of history about RFPs of the property behind us, behind the dais. This is the third RFP, and I think Mrs. Grace probably remembers that, and Mrs. Brandymark. When Jeremy Earl was the executive director, there were two under his reign, and then this one was under the last executive director. So the first one, you got responses, and it did not include any mention of having to build a new city hall. It was just the part that was vacant behind it. I wasn't here, although Kim was here. My partner Kim was here, and I don't know how much she worked on that, but that one the board basically sort of terminated. Didn't like the proposals. They weren't quite what you wanted. There were some really interesting aspects to them, but it didn't get to the final, to a development agreement, even to write up a development. The second one, both Kim and I were involved in, a firm out of Miami called Besnos. Actually, we began to develop one, and we began to develop a development agreement. But it sort of went south. The more meetings we had, the more difficult the developer proposals became. So it kind of expired on its own whim, but because they were asking for too much. And so Jeremy Earl made a recommendation just to terminate. So then Jeremy left, and I came back to ask the staff whether, staff being the city manager and others on the staff, including the city attorney, would you consider going out again? And the staff had sort of recommended, well, we need to do something about City Hall. What do you think about if we went out with an RFP that said, build us a new City Hall? It was a pretty bold idea. It was pretty risky because to build a new City Hall, you're going to spend $250 or more a square foot to build a City Hall. So at the time, we had introduced a developer to Dania Beach, and they built that residential project down the street on Dania Beach Boulevard, AHS, and they did an excellent job, I think. And so I went to them, and I went to a few others, developers. I said, what do you think about if you got a bigger piece of property, but you had to build a city hall? Well, honestly, AHS did a design just to kind of do their own feasibility study. They said, okay, we'll do it. We'll respond to that. And then there were some other suggestions, maybe to take the block of the fire station for a future phase if they would like to consider that. So I was sort of emboldened to say, okay, let's go forward, and we did. But it took so long to write the RFP and to get it out on the street, almost a year. We lost AHS, and I had another prospect, and we lost that prospect. The other prospect was from Miami. So I apologize. I mean, just sometimes that's the way it goes. I will say this about real estate. This was a very bold proposal. And I will say that don't get discouraged, because I do think it's a good site. It's a very good site for residential. This would be a great block to live and to be next to the library and near all the activity here in the downtown. I think that what I'm going to suggest is that we're coming back here on October 12th to give you a presentation on economic development. One of my associates, Kevin Crowder, is going to make that presentation. And I'd like to have a little bit of time during that presentation. And I want to have him look at the RFP, and I want him to, and I'd like to interview a few people that said they were going to be interested and didn't respond. I want to know why they didn't respond. That tells you almost as much And so I'd like to come back with maybe some answers. And maybe we could have a discussion at the board level to see if you want to consider not necessarily the same RFP, but it could be a different RFP. Now, I'll give you one other example. Both Kevin and I and Kim, we work on P3s, we call them P3s, public-private partnership. This is sort of what this was. Your land, you're the public, and the partner would be the developer. I managed a P3 recently in West Palm for the West Palm Beach Municipal Golf Course. We got 3 responses. There was a fight by the developers over the property. Well, that was very positive. Kevin ran one in Davie right in front of their rodeo arena. I know everybody has been to Davie on University. And they had 40 developers show up at a pre-bid conference. They had all these people. So you just never know. They had 1 response. So we have a list of the people that attend the pre-bid conference here. So I'd like to, let's don't give up. And Kim and I both ran a P3 for the city of Pompano, 8 acres on the Atlantic Ocean, and we did the last 2. They went through 3 before they got 1, and you can imagine 8 acres on the Atlantic Ocean was pretty phenomenal, and it took us 3. It's just a matter of timing, the real estate timing, the market, are people busy, and how you phrase it. So I don't want you to be discouraged, and I'll take all the blame for this one since it was my project, but I want to come back and I don't want to give up. So if you let me come back, I'll come back on October the 12th. Is that okay, Mayor?
Something that we need to decide as a board.
Okay.
How do you all feel? No one's going to say anything? I mean, honestly, my priority, especially in the wake of what just happened, is not to move forward with this. I think that we do need a redeveloped city hall. We have half of our city halls hurricane-proof, half of it's not. I mean, the top half could sustain and the bottom half can't, but the top half, we had a lot of leaks, we had a lot of issues. We have a lot of issues in our current city hall. We have a lot of improvements that could be made. We could redevelop the city hall and remodel it. We have a lot of space out here in the lobby. We can consolidate this, and we can even bring police back here. It's mind-boggling meeting at the meeting how we don't even have separate offices, even if we didn't want to be here or not. We don't have that option. We are one of very few cities that don't have that option. We don't have a lot of intimate meeting spaces that someone can come in and guess what? They can see a little inside of you in your space. We don't have that. We have 5 people sharing one space. We have we all agree that this conference room over here is absolutely I don't like it. It's a lot of things within right here, and then a lot of projects that continue to come to us, and we're trying to figure out, we're going to wait for the funding, Well, we can't wait for the funding for everything because we're not going to have that much money to be able to do $50 million worth of projects in 1 year. So for me, that's not my priority. However, we do have a board, and everyone's welcome to say, how they feel. Board Member Brandon Marty?
Yeah, I got to go backwards a little bit. I thought at one time that we had a commission that agreed on what was going to be built over there, but the gentleman couldn't get the financing. Am I right?
I think that was the first RFP, I think.
I can't remember his name for nothing.
Yeah. I wasn't involved, so I can't remember the name, but...
No, not Greenberg.
Hank Thomas.
Hank Thomas, but he couldn't get the financing. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not anxious for this because I still don't feel that a building that close to the railroad tracks with the new train system that's going to come through, that we would even be able to get rid of any of those units. That was then, this is now. Now people will know even more how many trains will go through there. What is it, over 30 a day? And 32. And that building, I remember when this was first brought up, the mayor was sitting there and I said, would you live in there? No, I wouldn't either. So I'm not anxious on that, but I do support anything that can be done with this building. But as far as residents on top of the railroad tracks, no, I don't support that at all.
Well, I don't want to...
Not in a hurry for that.
I don't want to argue with you, but we have an office in West Palm, and the Bright Line has, they store their trains in West Palm, and we watch the Bright Line go by. The Bright Line, I'm not talking about the freight train. The Bright Line is very quiet. It comes, it goes, you hardly even notice.
Are they offices?
Yes.
These are residences.
Yeah, but I will say this, well, it's during the day they go. But I will say this, with hurricane windows, with thick glass, you really don't hear it. You almost never hear it. So it's changed. And I did a P3 in Delray Beach. It's on the railroad track, and it's an extremely expensive apartment building. So anyway, I think there's ways around the issue of the railroad track.
Okay. Vice Chair.
I'm just going to put this out there. City Hall is here on this site here. Does City Hall have to be on this site here? Can City Hall be out west somewhere?
Okay, let's go to the point.
I mean, can't we have a new City Hall Civic Center complex like they built out in Pembroke Pines? I mean, theater, performing arts center, and a new Civic Center, City Hall? Does it have to be here?
On what land?
Does the city own this
What
land?
land?
But they own the land somewhere else too, don't we? Tom?
The fire station all the way up there by 441.
Yeah.
That's why you own the fire station.
I mean, can we buy land and like build City Hall somewhere else?
Are you going to bring a City Hall down, away from your downtown?
Why not just put it out there and see? I mean, look what Frank Ortis did in
If
Pembroke
you
Pines.
ask
He
the
built a beautiful
developer
new
to pay you
complex.
for this land,
I'm just saying, just put it out
Yeah.
there. I'm not saying that's what's
Yeah.
going to happen, but
then you could take the money and buy another piece of land.
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't get a building with it, but you get another piece of land. So,
Okay, do we have direction to have him come back with this?
October when?
I just thought we would have a little bit more discussion about it in
Sure, that's
October.
gonna be fine.
It's just a discussion. We're not asking for
What do
a
you think?
vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Vice Chair?
for more discussion, yes.
Okay, good. Okay, we'll move
coming
on,
back.
because we have 10 minutes.
All right, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. I don't know how fast we can get through this, or if we want to continue it or what, but this is, if you want to, you can try. I don't know how.
Okay.
Okay, good evening. Sarah Blake, Marketing Manager for the Dania Beach CRA. Due to time, I am going to go over my portion very quickly so she can speak more on her behalf. These are just some of the 2016-2017 marketing initiatives and accomplishments, a brief overview, and if you do have any other questions specifically about what we accomplished this past fiscal year, you can ask me directly, and then also refer to the booklet that I left with you all during the last board meeting. This is very detailed and goes over the past 3 years of everything we've done. And then just a brief recap or a snapshot in numbers. This past fiscal year, we composed and distributed approximately 40 press releases to 312 local media contacts, and we estimated that about 25 of those articles were picked up by press. We planned, marketed, and promoted approximately 30 events and meetings, designed over 500 pieces of collateral, and created and sent over 125 e-newsletters. Here's some sort of snapshots also on our 3 different social media pages, our CRA page, the Patch Facebook page, and the Arts and Seafood page, which we do have someone contracted out to do that, but we do prioritize the messages and everything that we send to her so that she can get those out to the public. And then finally, a quick snapshot of our 3 newsletters that we send out, our weekly consumer newsletter, our Business Insider, which is sent out monthly, and then our Patch newsletter. And then I am going to pass this over to Sharon so that she can go over the marketing plan process and what's in store for next fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. My name is Sharon McCormick. I am the Director of Business Attraction and Marketing for RMA, and I am quite proud to say that I have been working with Dania Beach for about 7 years now. So I've been here kind of from the beginning with Jeremy, and certainly was here with Kathleen and Dan. So I just wanted to give a really an overview and kind of an idea of what's available and the opportunities available for next fiscal year. Some of the things that Kona talked about, I'm going to reference back to that because it couldn't have been more perfect that he was before me speaking about the streetscape and some ideas. And so I think you have a really good visual now to actually start to imagine some of the things that I might be talking about. The other thing is that, you know, I wanted to share for sure, because I know Kathleen put it on the agenda, that we would like to work with you in the coming year. I don't totally understand with a new CRA director there could be new direction and everything, and so we'll take the opportunity that we can work with you for as long as we can and for as long as you need us and would like to have us here. And I just wanted to share with you that our contract this past year was to deliver approximately 1,120 hours for you, and we have tracked, you know, every hour, and by the end of the fiscal year we'll be at 1,515 hours. So, but you know, we added that extra 400 hours because we are committed to Dania Beach, and we have been for a long time. So I really wanted to share that with you, and then just kind of touch on the fact that the marketing plan process is always that we review each year the situation. And next month is when you will hear from Kevin Crowder, our colleague, with all the details, really diving deep into the situation that it exists today here from the very deep economic development standpoint. So a lot of that information is kind of woven in through the marketing plan, and we gave you a draft, and we want it to be a draft because it's a fluid document right now, and we want to make sure that it's ready no matter what happens, you know, so that you guys can pick it up and move forward. So with that, there. I'll just go in briefly to, you know, the situation as it stands online. You'll see next month a lot deeper information, like I said. But we asked the question, you know, what are people actually saying about Dania Beach? And what I found was in 2010, several years ago, I don't know if you can kind of read that, but it says, I drove through the area the other day, and it seems very depressed. You would think that in a prime location close to Fort Lauderdale, you know, that it would look better or something like that. But fast forward to now, on Facebook, it says, during the past 5 years, Dania Beach has improved a lot. Nice hotels, good food, and people walking on the boardwalk. I love it. There's nowhere on TripAdvisor. There's nowhere I've ever visited or lived that can compare. The beach is a mile from the main highway, great restaurants, convenient shopping malls. The people here are friendly. So it's really interesting, and there's a lot more. We put more into the plan for you to see. But there's a lot that can be seen about how people feel about Dania Beach, and it has changed over the years, and that's a really good thing, and we want to make sure we keep that trajectory going forward. When you look at things to do and you do a Google search, you find that it's a really good position. There are cities that I work in that this does not happen. You Google things to do, and the first thing that comes up is the city next door. So it's really important to note that the top 3 things are referencing Dania Beach. You do have Fort Lauderdale and Hollywood coming in there, so our goal would be to continue to drive that SEO up and really focus more and more and more on what things there are to do so that your entire front page of Google is all Dania Beach, and you can see that. So those are some of the goals. The shopping in Dania Beach, a Google search shows that only 2 businesses in the downtown are listed. So again, another really strong focus that we should look at when outsiders are looking at what there is to do in Dania Beach. How can we really educate and really grow information and knowledge about the shops and restaurants in the original downtown? I'm going to go back to a little bit more in a few minutes because I want to use the original downtown right now versus what I'm going to tell you in a few minutes.
We only really have like a few minutes for us to get ready for our commission meeting. Is this something, because I really don't want to rush your presentation because I know we all will have questions for you, and I want to be fair to you and not just make you get this over in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. And so can this be continued at the next?
Yes, because I had not put on, we had not put on an agreement for them. We had just put this for discussion and possible action. But our next meeting is on October 10th when they'll be presenting the market analysis. This could be continued, and then the board will be asked to take a decision if they want to have them.
Okay, yes. I really don't want to be unfair to you.
That's fine then. That's perfect. I'll go after Kevin, and I think this will make even more sense when I actually do it following him. So
thank you. I appreciate your understanding. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, if you have any questions about that draft, if you for your reading pleasure, if you want to read those 100 pages, you can certainly call us. No, that's the little, yeah, is that the one? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And again, we'll tweak that and add more information and more details. But thank you very much.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, thank you, thank you. CRA revised calendar of events, we can do that later?
I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that on September 28th, we have the Neighborhood Ambassador at the Star Center in Dania Beach. Everyone is invited. Please contact Keisha to RSVP. We still have room for people to attend. It's going to be a great event.
When is that, October you said?
No, September 28th. This
It's
Thursday.
Thursday.
It's
This
Thursday. This Thursday.
What time?
At 6 p.m.
Can't make it.
Okay, I'm going to ask all of you to reserve your comments and put them over into commissioner comments, if that's okay with everyone. All right, meeting adjourned. See you guys in 5 minutes.
It wasn't the proper way Tom ill-advised you, I'm sorry. That's the way this is the way I feel about it. No, you can stop me.
And you gotta tell them they every morning. Yeah, you have a sticky situation.
No. It's just left a bad taste in my mouth. That's it, you know.
Yep, see you tomorrow.
Well, I won't let I don't let Jim disrespect me, so I'm not going to let anybody else do it. Yeah. Hey, my love.